Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
And we do full-length car reviews each and every week. Halfway through, we stop for a segment called Questions, Coffee, and Cars. We've spun it off to its own thing. We're on number 40. How do you play along?
Follow along on Instagram at Motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday at 7 a.m. Pacific time, I put a post out. It only stays up for a short time. Once we gather our questions, we start the show.
Time now for Questions, Coffee, and Cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
Do you think the Mitsubishi Triton will make its way to the North American market?
No, that's a hard no.
That's
it's a nice looking
no.
truck though.
Yeah,
and
it's
Mitsubishi
really nice.
has a long history of making trucks. And it's too bad.
It is too bad. I agree. It's a nice looking pickup truck. In some markets, it's called the L200. It's going to be available in Asia and Australia.
You know what, Australia, they love what they call the ute, mate. That's the small pickup truck.
Yeah.
They just call them utes. And that class of vehicle, which is another vehicle we don't get, is the Amarok from Volkswagen,
Yeah.
Popular, and so on. They have a lot of... The Ranger actually started down in Australia, and then it finally made it here.
It's good it came, but this one, no plans for North America. You two are so much fun to watch. Thank you. What are your thoughts on all these interiors being black? I just saw your review of the Buick Envista and discovered that the interior comes only in black, except for one version that has a gray color on the sides. Not the bolster of the seats. Bummer, but the new Kona offers a gray interior.
I guess you're looking for gray. We're sitting in a
Black.
wall-to-wall black interior in this car. It's my happy place. I like black interiors.
I like different colors for sure, especially lighter. You know who does a really good job? Volvo. They have lots of different options, but also Kia and Hyundai. Remember the Kia with that light green interior? Genesis.
You know what?
Tons of interior.
The one I
colors.
liked was the Kia Sportage hybrid with the brick color, red interior. It wasn't really bright red. It was like this dull brick color. Really smart.
But I'm with you. I prefer something other than black, although we always seem to buy a vehicle with a black interior. But
as it should be.
not the GTI we're getting. We've got plaid seats.
But it's black.
But it is black. If you could do reviews on any other product, what would it be and why?
Andrea, you answer me.
For sure, watches.
And for sure, Andrea, fashion.
Yeah. Those are our two favorite. I mean, I've always had a passion for fashion since I was a little girl.
Passion for fashion. Actually, I had a YouTube channel about watches, and I ran it for a while, and then we're too busy with the car stuff, and I just let it go, and I never picked it up again, which is too bad. But there's only so many hours in a day, and there's only so many days in a week, and we're like up to here with cars, so no room for that.
So Zach wears his watches, and I,
Andrea,
dress
listen.
fashion.
Instagram is really, it's about the cars, but it's also about Andrea's outfit.
Yeah, fashion.
There you go.
Passion
that was
for
easy.
fashion. Thank you for making great content week after week. Thank you. My parents need to replace their 2016 Nissan Rogue, which has been in an accident. Do you recommend the Ford Escape 2020 to 2022? I see many used Escape hybrids on the market, which seems a bit suspect for a hybrid vehicle. Do you have any other recommendations other than the CR-V and RAV4, since these models often get stolen in the Montreal area?
I like this. I like the Escape. Every time I drive it, I'm always pleasantly surprised by it. And the Escape delivers great fuel economy, about tied with the RAV4.
Yeah.
The CR-V not so good. It's not as efficient.
No.
But yeah, I don't know. I've got a soft spot for the Escape. I've always liked driving it.
So the issue with the Escape, the 2020 and 2021 model, did have issues. There have been some recalls on the Escape hybrid models for those years. Insufficient welds inside the high voltage battery, which may fail, resulting in a loss of drive power. There are also reports of excessive battery drain. Now, the 2022 model is better because it's, Ford has worked out the quirks, but people are still leery of the issues of the Escape in the past, so they don't really want the 2022 model
So we just
either.
reviewed the new one. Was it a 24? It got a facelift anyway.
It did.
And Andrea looked up the quality scores on the newer ones, and it's getting better. So if you're interested in Escape, get the newest one you can.
Yeah.
And if it's at a discount compared to the competition, then it might not be a bad way to go.
Most people say that they can get an Escape hybrid, so they want it. Other hybrids are very difficult to get, except for the CR-V hybrid. That seems to be available because it costs so much.
Spendy.
Now, two other hybrids that I really like, the Hyundai Tucson hybrid and the Kia Sportage or
Also
Sportage.
hard to get. Also hard to get.
Also hard to get, but boy, those cabins remain insulated and so quiet. I'm a big fan.
I like the Escape.
Just curious if you think Toyota will bring the Harrier plug-in to the 2025 Venza. I had a guy wanting to order a Venza and was questioning if that might be coming. Have a great day from Ontario.
So the Harrier that's sold in Japan and other Asian markets is the Venza. It's been rebadged for this market. It's based on the same platform as the Toyota RAV4, and RAV4 has a Prime.
Yeah.
So it's obviously capable of achieving that. I don't think they have any immediate plans, but they do plan on adding more and more plugins along the way.
They do. When we were in Japan, we spoke to Toyota about the Venza in particular because there are rumors that it's going. They said no, they have no plans to eliminate the Venza from the lineup. I did speak to them about plug-in hybrids in general and why there aren't more. They say they're expensive to make and they have to charge more for them. And so they really have to balance the price and, of course, how much the vehicle is costing them to produce.
Plus, the plug-ins are made in Japan. They're not made in the North American market. So there's qualifications for plug-ins for the tax rebate in the United States around where the vehicle comes from. So that's something. I suspect, Andrea, there's going to be some onshoring of the plug-in hybrids for Toyota and Lexus.
Yeah.
We have the hybrids made in North America. I would suspect if they can get the supply chain sorted, they probably could make them here.
Yeah, well, it is possible. The TX has a plug-in hybrid and it's going to be made in North America. Of course, that is a North American vehicle only. It won't be sold overseas.
Maybe the Middle East. Might be the Middle East. Yeah.
Maybe. They haven't said. They just said right now it's for North America. But the plug-in hybrid is built in the US. So, I mean, it is possible. Another thing that came out of our meeting with Toyota in Japan is the rebates on emissions, or should I say, I guess rebates isn't really the word, but they get a credit, let's say, for plug-in hybrids. And so right now, plug-in hybrids, every time Toyota produces one, they do get a credit.
Okay,
but
so
as
I
of
just want to say, I just want to clarify something. We're not talking about the consumer getting a credit.
No.
The manufacturer gets a carbon credit, which is what you're talking about.
Yes. Now, for 2028, PHEVs won't get a credit unless they have over 80 kilometers of range.
That's going to be tough to do.
It's tough. And even Toyota says with the RAV4 plug-in hybrid at 68 kilometers, it will be a real challenge to get it over 80 kilometers.
And the thing is, it's already spendy.
Yeah.
So you might as well just make the jump and make a full EV. That's the problem we're in right now for a lot of these brands.
Thank you for showing that both men and women can be knowledgeable about cars. Thank you. You both are so entertaining that sometimes I just watch you just for fun. Thanks for the candid and honest reviews. How sweet. I'm a senior woman in the US. I have a 2016 BMW X3. I'd like to get a plug-in hybrid. I'm considering the GV60, the RAV4 Prime, and maybe the GLA or B. I want a compact SUV or other vehicle that is solid, smooth, and a bit fun to drive. I have two small dogs, so leather isn't an issue. So the GV60 is a pure electric vehicle.
Yeah, you're confusing a few plugins with pure EVs.
Yeah.
Like the GLB is electric.
Electric. And the GLA is only a gas model at this time. And you're right, the RAV4 Prime is a plug-in hybrid.
You can't get one.
You can't get one, but I would say that the RAV4 plug-in hybrid in the non-luxury category is one of the best plug-in hybrids on the market. Great range. I also like the Tucson and the Sportage, but the fuel economy once the battery is depleted is not quite as good as the RAV4.
I'm reading luxury, Andrea, not mainline cars.
That's a tough one.
Going from BMWs backwards to sort of a mainline is going to be kind of tricky.
Yeah.
I would suggest that the X3 plug-in isn't sold in the U.S., sold in Canada.
But a new one is coming.
Yeah.
If you can hold off on that.
That's probably, BMW's done a very good job with their plug-ins.
Yeah.
And I would say, work with the dealer and find out when that is coming.
Yes.
Because I think that would be one that you could definitely move into, and they'd gladly take your used BMW.
Yeah, and the current model doesn't have a lot of range, but we see with the BMW X5 plug-in hybrid that it has come to market with more range, and that will be the case for the X3. Another one to consider is the Volvo XC60 plug-in hybrid.
Yeah, that's a good
range,
choice. That's a good choice.
Nice vehicle. If you're looking for a smooth and quiet ride, Volvo really does a good job with that.
On the reliability with Volvo.
Yeah.
Speak to your dealer, see if they can tell you when that X3 plug-in's coming. Maybe hold on to your car a little longer.
I absolutely love watching your videos every weekend with my cup of coffee. So do we. What would be your pick? The new Mazda CX-90 plug-in hybrid or the Lexus TX550H Plus? Asking from my grandmother who may be in the market soon. She's looking for electrification in her next 3-row family hauler.
Granny likes the big vehicles. My goodness.
Yeah, she likes a biggie.
Yeah, so there you go. If you're wanting a 3-row large SUV like that has plug-in, the TX, I would take over the Mazda. And I'm not sold on that CX-90 plug-in or the gas one yet. I'm gonna hold and wait to see what the reliability is like on that vehicle because it's all new. Now, the Toyota's all new, but it's Toyota.
I also don't like the range on the CX-90 plug-in hybrid. It doesn't offer a lot. With a large vehicle like that, you're going to eat into the range quickly. The only issue with the TX plug-in hybrid is that the pricing hasn't been announced yet, and we see the RX plug-in hybrid up at 90,000 Canadian.
Yeah, and the other thing is that it was not going to be released for about a year.
No.
So one you might want to consider, it's an oddball one at you, is a Jeep Grand Cherokee. Is the L sold with the plug-in hybrid? I don't know. That's one to look into.
I don't think the L is yet. Maybe it's coming, but the regular
Grand Cherokee plug-in hybrid. You know who sells the most plug-ins of anybody in North America?
Who's that?
Jeep.
Oh.
With that Wrangler.
Yeah.
They've sold more of those.
That's not surprising.
Yeah, because it's such a cool vehicle. So, that's a big vehicle. I'm not sure if you need the third row. If Granny doesn't need the third row, you might want to check out Jeep.
The other one is the Lincoln Aviator plug-in hybrid. Very refined, smooth ride, quiet cabin, but same problem again. The range is very low on that. So there are a few options.
These are all kind of first gens. That's the problem. When you start looking at these advanced technology cars, it's like, when do you jump in? Am I going to get the first gen ABC, or am I going to wait until it's the second generation? The range will be better. Look at the Outlander PHEV, for example. The range went from about 38 kilometers to like 61.
Yeah.
That's a big jump, much better vehicle as well. So we're going to see those changes. Same thing with the X5. It was pathetic range. Now it's got good range.
Another one is the Sorento plug-in hybrid from Kia. If you just need
that's a good
small third row,
yeah, that's a
you
good
get
one.
some pretty good range, and it's priced quite well. Hi, Andrea and Zach. Love seeing all of your pictures from your recent trip. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Is the car shortage now more because the manufacturer's not wanting to make enough product, or is there still a part shortage, or is it a mix of both?
Well, the supply chain thing has not totally been resolved,
No.
but you have this huge back order of cars that people put in, a year or so ago when there was a shortage.
Yeah.
And we're seeing sales not really soften in the Canadian market anyway. New vehicle sales are not softening. There's a pent-up demand. They think in the Canadian market there was about 1.5 million vehicles that weren't sold through COVID. They're going to have to clear Now, some of them won't sell. People couldn't afford them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit of both, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both, but it's not that the manufacturers don't want to produce more. If they could, they would. I'll use Toyota as an example. Toyota does not want to release a model that doesn't have all the features in it. So they will wait for the part to come in to produce a finished product. We did see, when there was a bigger issue with the chip shortage, that some U.S. manufacturers would bring a vehicle in without heated seats or heated steering wheel.
That?
Toyota will not do that. So typically you have to wait longer for their products.
But back to our trip to Japan, we did an excellent Questions, Coffee and Cars, same segment, but we did it with a couple of guests. Stephen Beattie, Vice President, Toyota Canada, and Scott McKenzie, External Affairs, Director of External Affairs. And they actually mentioned in one of the videos that they actually are selling more cars.
Yeah.
Like year over year, they're selling 20% more cars.
Yeah.
But there's this huge backlog, so you don't see them on the dealer.
And also hybrids and plug-in hybrids have become very popular based on the price of fuel, and they just weren't ready for that sort of demand to come in. So they're working at it and trying to produce as much. Obviously, they want to sell vehicles. Am I crazy to think that Toyota will soon come up with a smaller RAV4 and a smaller 4Runner that will aim at a very different public? I saw some interesting stuff online, and I kind of think this makes sense. What do you know?
Well, the RAV4 smaller version is the Corolla Cross.
Yeah, Corolla
They already have that.
Yeah. I think you're crazy. I don't think the RAV4 is getting any smaller, and I don't think the 4Runner is either. But they are producing smaller vehicles like the Corolla Cross. And you see that with Kia and Hyundai. You've got the Kona versus the Tucson, the Seltos versus the Sportage. You see it with Volkswagen, Tiguan. And you've got the Taos.
Let's just get the regular 4Runner replaced before we start worrying about a smaller one.
Like, when is that coming?
Well, they've already introduced their body on frame trucks. We've seen Land Cruiser. We've seen, what was the other one we saw?
GX.
Yeah, the GX. So they're coming. And the new trucks, right? The new Tacoma. So there's going to be more coming. Yeah. And 4Runner will have to be replaced at some point.
Ooh, and stay tuned for our Tacoma review. We're heading to LA next week to drive the new Tacoma. I can't wait. Can't wait to see what the comfort level is in that vehicle. Also, and of course, the transmission.
Also on that trip, we're going to be given a sneak peek of, I think, 2 models that are going to be shown at the LA Auto Show. So we'll have a first look at those before anybody else.
Yeah.
And we'll also have a look at what else is at the LA show.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the Santa Fe is going to be there.
Yeah.
The new one, and then we could do a walk around on that. So stay tuned. Lots of great content coming up for November. And of course, our top 5s are going to be starting up soon as well. Looking forward to sharing that.
But Andrea, I want to get a question in for Questions, Coffee and Cars. How do I do that?
Follow along on Instagram at motormouth_Andrea. I put a post out every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Pacific time. It's up for a short time. Once we gather our questions, we start the show. Now, if you're not on Instagram, no problem. Zach does a live show every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and you can get your questions into him there. And he loves
a super chat. I mean, if you're gonna spend a dollar or two and get a question in, I'm okay with that. I like that. It's a little game I play. How many super chats I can get. So throw a dollar or two at the old Zorker.
Yeah.
And get some questions in. All right, we're done here, Andrea.
Okay. Thank
Bye-bye.
you so much.